Right, thanks for joining us. You can see my notes. I've got some secret notes at the bottom here that you might hear me reading out. They were supposed to be secret, but there you go. So yes, thanks to Alan for doing this, hosting it. Saved me a load of research. This isn't a polished job, so don't worry too much about the delivery and that. It's really to pass on things that I've learned from somebody called Myrna Bacon, who actually viewed my profile, and when I viewed her profile she had some interesting links, and I followed those up and ended up on a webinar of hers, and subsequently had some email updates from her with some other valuable information. So I just want to share that with you guys rather than just say have a look at this, everybody's got loads to do. So I'll kind of summarise what I think we should look at, because obviously a lot of the things she was talking about were things we already cover and already know, so it's really to cut all that stuff out. What I've done, I think there's about 14 slides, something like that, 18 slides. There are a few slides in here that are kind of groundwork that you don't necessarily need to delve into too much, and I won't talk over them. It's really so you can just see where it all fits in. So if you've got any questions, feel free to ask. The whole purpose really is to discuss this at the team meeting and get people's comments into there that we can explore this a bit further. I don't think anybody's doing this stuff at the moment. If they are, happy to be corrected. So hopefully it's niche stuff. So essentially what we're going to learn tonight is this that's on the screen here. Is two parts. Firstly, using the groups, which obviously we know about groups, but really as far as I'm aware all we've learnt about is how to interact with groups, how to comment and take leads from the groups that we can connect with and engage with potentially on a kind of single basis. So what this is about is creating an inbound stream of leads consistently and for free. We're not using ads. On the back of that is building a targeted database, all trust-based. We're not doing any cold stuff, we're not spamming anyone, so it's all fitting with the kind of things we already do. So it's genuine, authentic marketing, that we're still keeping it personal. Part two is something I picked up on one of Myrna's emails, which is about boosting the posts, and it was perfectly timed because we were talking about this very recently, maybe a week, at the most 2 weeks ago, about how to boost posts. And when I saw this, there were a couple of little cheeky secrets that I thought would be of interest, especially to you, Alan, I would have thought. So that's kind of at the back end of this. So that's what you can expect from it. As a lead into that, there's a load of, I found some links to LinkedIn stats, and I just picked 3 out because they're relevant to the groups, and that's the most part of this webinar today, is about the groups. And some of these stats I found quite staggering, and I think quite powerful. Apologies there, I just lost my microphone. Yeah, quite impressive stats. That this really is stuff that we can pass out to our clients as well. I'm not going to read from the screen because that's just bloody annoying. So you can read it for yourselves, but they're pretty big stats, I think. Now the next few slides are really about groundwork. Now this is stuff that we do. We've talked around these subjects in the past, but what I've done is kind of summarize it there. These are things that I have taken from training from other people. There's some links in here, there's some examples. this might be of use to you. There might be some nuggets in here that you can use and borrow that you're not currently doing, but really this is about the groundwork and the basic stuff we do at the moment. We're into optimizing profiles there. We all know the main parts of that. But I wanted that stuff to be in here so that you could see where this all fits in. Now, I don't expect this webinar to take too long, to be honest, because I don't want to drivel on for ages. I want to get to the point. Now, as I say, what we've done so far is talk about interacting in groups, as in adding comments. Is that a message? Can I see? Okay, Mary's joined us. Hi, Mary. Yeah, what we talked about so far is just interacting in groups on a single basis, and then hopefully adding some value, taking leads from there that we can connect and engage with as we would normally. What we're looking at here is actually creating our own LinkedIn group or groups. So I'm looking at this really for the purpose of the webinar as if we're all got our own businesses, and potentially this is a big advantage for some clients of things we can help them with to create their own group, especially if they're hard up for cash and they don't want to spend a lot of money on marketing, because this is a free strategy. This is not about paying for ads or any kind of marketing. So we talked about the disappointment a little while ago when we lost the ability to send these group messages, blind copy to groups of 50. The big, massive advantage to this strategy is the ability to send a group message every week to all of the members from LinkedIn straight into their email inbox en masse. So as big as the group is, whether that's 10, 20, 50, I think the default is 20,000 members in a group. I think you can actually enlarge it if you contact LinkedIn. So as this gets bigger, that one group message that you can send out every week as the group owner can reach your whole database on LinkedIn. So that is the massive plus to this, my view, and it kind of eclipses the previous 50 message at one time. Yes, it's going to email, but LinkedIn is very trusted, and the delivery rate from LinkedIn to email, I think, is virtually guaranteed. It's massively high, so it's very, very unlikely to get blocked. So these are going to get seen. The other benefits you can see there, you get to control the content. You can set the rules. You can monitor the members. You can kick people out. So you're in a lot more control than you would be if you're just interacting in someone else's group. Obviously, as a group member, it's natural that you're going to be looked up to because you're a leader. You're a group leader, and especially as the numbers grow, it's going to fit with our credibility, and it's a massive credibility growth tool really to own a group. I don't know if anybody's got a Facebook group. I know a guy that I'm speaking to tomorrow. He's run a Facebook group for a while and he gets a lot of interaction in there. On LinkedIn, I think that would carry a lot more power just because of the kind of networks we're dealing with and the growth rate at which some of these groups can grow. And you can see that trust is a massive thing. We know how important that is, the know, like and trust adage. So this is a great way to build your own community, build trust with them, and market to them directly with value. As with the connections, as the group gains popularity, it's natural that people are going to want to join it. They're going to see it, they're going to hear about it, they're going to see posts, and it's going to gather speed, it's going to gather momentum. So after a while, really, the group is going to market itself, because there's going to be a demand to be part of it, because you're creating a community. Yes, exporting contacts, we know how to do that. Obviously, we can market to these people on email besides our weekly email, so it just gives us lots of options. So we know how to export contacts. So you're effectively creating a massive database that knows, likes and trusts you. Yeah, and positioning yourself as the expert. One thing that was made clear when I saw this webinar was this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is not an overnight magic pill idea. This is something that will take a few months to grow, but it could grow quite quickly and extremely big. And the idea being that it's something that could feed you for years to come if it's grown organically in the right way and with the right kind of value. So yeah, that's the idea of this, really.
Yeah, this is really good stuff.
Yeah.
Nigel's just asked in the question box, could you repeat the name of the lady that you've got this information from?
Yeah, I'll just nip back to one of these slides so you can see it spelt and copy it down. What's she called? Bottom, the right hand side at the bottom there, Myrna Bakon. I think she's Czech, from memory.
Right, are you going to put the slides up on the, or mind you, everybody will be able to read it off the screen when it goes live, but presumably you'll give Mary a copy of the slides as well.
Yeah, no problem.
Brilliant, mate.
We can, I've got this as a PowerPoint presentation, obviously, so we can share this however.
Yeah, just to reinforce some of the points.
We can. Go on.
Yeah, no, I was going to reinforce some of the points you made. Groups can have literally hundreds of thousands of members. One of my project management groups that I'm a member of has got over 100,000 people in it. There are, whilst there are literally millions of groups out there, there are some that are very, very small and very inactive. So you do need to pick and choose your groups if you're going to join groups. But you're right in terms of if you get a group set up and you can get people to want to join it, it can massively position you as the go-to authority.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. I don't know how up to date it was, but the guidance I saw said the default was 20,000 members, and then I think you speak to LinkedIn to get that bigger. Whether that's changed, I don't know. It might just be that there's no rules anymore. But yeah, thanks for that, Alan, because I didn't realise you could have 100,000. So there you go. That should be enough for all of us. This is just a little screenshot of how to create the group. Pretty simple, really. I just wanted to put that in there so you can follow it easily. Right, so the actual group itself, you won't be surprised to know the same principles apply, and I think this is what's going to separate us from most of the trainers out there, is that we're principle based, not clicky tappy based. So everything that we've already learned is easy for us because we just transfer that knowledge and understanding into the group. So the headline, as we know, it's got to do the same stuff, the whiff, the so what, etc. What was advised was don't use mastermind experts, blah blah. It's not a showing off tool. It's not a I am the man, I am the expert. What Myrna proved was that just by offering value and actually caring about the audience, it seemed to generate a lot more interest. So you'll see there in the middle, it talks about a mission statement, and apparently the mission-orientated groups attract a lot more members. And for me, I think that must be because we're talking about the whys here. We're getting into passion and the emotional response that creates, rather than just I train people on LinkedIn, I'm a LinkedIn expert. Yeah, so what? I actually help people, you know, grow their businesses that they care about so they can live the life they want to live we're more into that kind of deeper thinking. So it's going to take a little bit of thought, same as it did when we created our headlines and summaries when we first learnt this stuff. But at least we've got the principal knowledge that behind all this already. You can see my little notes that I was going to read out, but yeah, this is about an organic database, and it's important, as you can see right at the bottom right in my notes here, the USP is what's got to come through here, not what we do. So however we're going to use this, I don't know. Whether we're going to collectively talk about LinkedIn, whether we're all going to create our own LinkedIn groups, whether we're going to create groups that are our sideline businesses, so whether that's project management or sales training or career coaching or property investing. However we decide to use it, these are the rules that are going to apply, and I think there's a lot of options, and really that's, as I say, the purpose of today is to share this stuff and spin up a load of ideas, discussion to see how we're going to best use it, and hopefully we can do that as a team before we just go off running about on our own with it, really. I don't know if you can see this very clear. Is that readable, Alan?
No, it's a bit fuzzy. You might have to go to slideshow for this.
So, okay, I can send you the links for these, no problem. In fact, I've put it at the top there, so you can see the URL if you want to go to this. There's a load of information about it. It's just general limits, rules, but all this kind of stuff. I mean, we could be running workshops purely about groups. This could become a workshop in itself, really. So I just wanted to show that page there, and there's a load of links on the right hand side. So there's stacks of resources online that we can share with people. So it's going to take a bit of research, but I think it adds a whole new dimension to what we're doing, really. Right, first steps. What's been recommended, and this has been tested, Myrna Backen generated, I think for herself, by just trial and error with this and learning by herself with this, she generated 50 grand's worth of income in the first year of doing this. So, not talking massive money, but that was kind of feeling a way through it. I think there's a lot more potential as well. I'm sure she's making a lot more money than that now. So her recommendation was to add a couple of valuable posts to start with, and then get a featured post, as you can see there, and link it to the lead magnet before you start inviting connections in, and making sure that when we're inviting the connections, we're giving them a reason to come and join, rather than I'm great, it's why don't you come join this community, it's full of value. If you're looking to start a new business, or you're looking to start a sales group, or whatever it is you're doing, that's the message we need to send out to our targets. Something I took from Brad Sugars was do the work once, get paid forever, and I suppose in that vein, really, the idea of that Alan will be familiar with, and I know a lot of you guys do, probably more than I do, is sharing stuff around on other social media. I don't know if anybody's sharing their content in other LinkedIn groups, so it's, as a prelim to this, it's probably be worth studying, researching, and hanging out in some of the other groups where you think you're going to poach members from. I say poach members, where other group members are likely to be interested in what you do. So it's probably worth hanging out there, offering some value, showing some credibility, and gaining a bit of trust in there, and then you're able to share those articles and links in those other groups, and hopefully generate some curiosity into your own group. Then I'm not sharing anything into other groups, so
I've done that on the project management side, Simon. I've done a lot of sharing of
Yeah,
blog posts and stuff like that into the project management groups that I'm a member of, and I do get,
yeah,
depending on the post, depending on the group, tend to get some good feedback. But I've not had a group of my own to drive people towards. I've contemplated setting up a
yeah,
group in the past around the people side of project management, but never really found the time to do it. But I think it's an interesting strategy. We just need to be careful that we don't all end up competing with each other.
yeah. Absolutely. This is why I wanted to throw this out and let's have a discussion about it before we'll just go off running with it. There might be a way we can work on it as a collective. I don't know. We can talk about that.
I think in terms of general business coaching, there's something we could work on collectively. But there'll be other stuff that's more in tune with our individual profiles. So Ian perhaps,
Yeah.
and perhaps with Christina might want to focus on more on sales training.
Yeah.
Nigel, in fact, is saying he's got a group up and running, Mastery Network for Social Media. He sent us all an invite to it. Well done, sir. Well done, Nigel.
Well done, mate.
Let's unmute him and let him chip in. So, Nigel, you're unmuted, mate. How long have you had this group set up?
It was a strategy actually that's come through from all these other things I subscribe to. There's a couple of guys in America that really evangelise about this sort of thing, and what they've said, slight difference to what Simon was saying. What they say is, yes, go by all means, join the other groups where there's some synergy and where you think that you will be able to, in inverted commas, poach, but don't poach in that group. What you need to do is contribute to those groups in a professional way so that you are seen to be adding value to the other groups, and then you invite the members of that group on an individual basis through your magic messaging. So you don't act, because the one thing you don't want to do is alienate anyone else in the population, and you've got to remember that you're in that group as an invited member. So the manager of that group can kick you out at any point, and then you've lost your credibility.
Yeah, sorry, I should have probably made that clear. Thanks for adding that, Nigel, because it's not about taking from someone else. It's about giving the value in there, helping their group, absolutely, as well. And
you can get thrown out of groups for no apparent reason. It happened to me. I was posting, and it's really annoying because it was in my early days of posting into groups, and I posted a couple of articles posts into a group around PMOs, project management offices, and all of a sudden I got kicked out of the group. I don't know if one of my posts was conceived to be stepping on somebody else's toes, or it wasn't selling, because I wasn't selling anything at the time. So, but I certainly upset the group leader. I couldn't get a response or to find out why I'd upset them. And in fact, being kicked out of that group put all of my posts to other groups on watch. So every post I made to any other group had to get sanctioned by the group owners. Yeah. And I had to go through LinkedIn to ask them why and get them to sort it out. And they actually were very good. Because they didn't know why, they couldn't get an answer out of the original group owner either. So they unblocked my profile and allowed me back into everyone. And everything's been fine since. So it is something you need to be wary of if you're posting to other groups that might be seen poaching or selling when you're not really selling.
Yeah, the beauty of being an administrator in one of the groups is you can auto sanction people. So when you put up a post in your group, you can say nothing gets posted without my say-so. And what these guys in America teach you is to generally after 2 or 3 posts, the manager of the group will auto-enroll you, so whenever you post something it will go up immediately, and that once you've done that, that's your credibility in that group absolutely sort of hardwired. and then you move on to your own group, but inviting people in from other groups based on interaction. And he says that their key is you don't invite people that aren't active, because there's no point.
Yeah, absolutely right. You want people that are going to be contributors.
Yes.
There's a lot of dead wood in a lot of groups, and a lot of dead groups actually. But I've seen a number of posts in a group specifically targeted where they're saying that the value of LinkedIn groups is going down, and but it seems to be centered around a group that want to try and create their own alternative to LinkedIn. So even that's got its own hidden agenda.
Well, it's good. This is all stuff we can share, especially if we've had experiences between us of getting kicked out and so forth, and all the better. It's stuff we can pass on. Anything else on the group stuff before I move on, because it kind of links into the next bit, but essentially that's the main elements of what I was going to share on the groups. Nope. Cool. That feeds in, especially when we're talking about sharing content on social media and the like. This leads really onto the boosting of posts. Yeah, standard stuff. Headline, value, content. We kind of know that by now, but it's easy to kind of run away and be training people on stuff and forget the basics. So that's why that's in there. There's two parts to this, two tips if you like. And this was Myrna again on one of her emails, one of her tips. LinkedIn has an editorial calendar, which I didn't know. Some of you guys might have known. And the Pulse team have a writing theme each week. Now there's a link to the calendar there. If you like, let me paste that into my my browser so you can see what that looks like. And effectively what you get is I'll get that up there. There's no, you can enlarge this. Essentially, anyway, I don't know if that's going to load up, but there's a calendar. So there's a monthly theme, which is probably too small to read there. But there's a monthly theme, and the idea being, that's where to find it. The link. Have I put the link on here? Yeah. There's a link to follow. You can go to that calendar and essentially pick the theme for the month and see what it is that the editorial team have been tasked to write about that month and to find articles about. So they've been given a theme. So for this month it's hashtag #mymetric. So
Suggestion, Simon, is
about,
that you post it into the chat box so that everybody can see it, and we can all copy and paste it.
Okay, I'll do that. Oh, that's big. Do I just hit return there, or? Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yep, there we got it. Yep, brilliant.
Okay. So
that's come to organisers and panellists only. I will repeat it to the entire audience. Don't worry.
Okay.
Leave that to me.
So the idea being, there's a theme for the month, and if you write about that theme, it's more likely to get pushed out by the editorial team who've been tasked with finding articles that are relevant to that theme. So this isn't a guarantee, but you're just edging your bets and increasing your chances of getting posted out and featured. As you can see, the writing theme is a hashtag on that screen where these writing themes are. Shame that's not showing up better. Try it again. you'll see when you go into it, you'll be able to zoom into this, and it will give you a little summary of what that's about. And this blue, light blue hashtag is shown here. Now that leads on to, that's the handle, that's obviously relevant to Twitter, and that leads into part 2. So you're boosting it on LinkedIn by having the writing theme, and the idea is you use this handle in LinkedIn, in Twitter, when you're sharing your LinkedIn post into Twitter, to boost it in there. Now there's some software called bitly.com. The idea of that is to shorten that LinkedIn post URL, because it'll be a long string, and with only 140 characters to a tweet, it's going to eat up most of that tweet. So it's a way to shorten that LinkedIn URL so you can get some more stuff in your tweet. There's a in case you're wondering where the link is for Twitter in your post, you probably know that, but that's where it is if you're wondering.
No, I regularly tweet, not only my LinkedIn posts, but also all my blog posts. I use Social to schedule them. So there's a tweet goes out for every one of my every 4 hours for every one of my blog posts on social media, and
Cool.
it automatically gets shortened links in there. So yeah, my stuff gets a lot of traction out there, and it generates a lot of followers on Twitter as well. Gets a lot of people coming back to you on Twitter.
Well, you seem to have generated a lot of, your posts seem to have got a lot of attention. I'm wondering if that's largely to do with Twitter then.
It could be, yeah.
So, well, this might help the rest of us then. If maybe you're using software or doing things that are helping, this might help the rest of us. Are you aware of this one, Alan? This extra handle, tip at LinkedIn Pulse, apparently is a link that was set up for the LinkedIn editors, and apparently increases your chances of being featured in Pulse as well. Apparently that's something they look out for.
Right.
I don't know how that works, but
so what do you do with this then? You had this handle where? Where do you add that in?
So you'll write your tweet, obviously shortening the URL of your LinkedIn post. So you basically tweet your LinkedIn post. You won't have much else space, but make sure that you include the hashtag for the month, which was
right from the Pulse calendar. Yep. Yeah. And so then add at LinkedIn Pulse.
Yeah.
Right.
So
okay.
Hashtag my metric in there, and you'll also have tip at LinkedIn Pulse in that tweet.
Right. I don't think you meant to put the tip bit in at the front somehow, because I don't think you meant to put the tip bit in at the front, because tip your Twitter handle is just at something or other.
Yeah,
might be wrong there.
I don't know.
Might be wrong there. But that's really useful.
I'll have to look at that. So it's really a little sneaky tip, yeah. A slight edge Mary would like. And well, I think really it's a matter of testing it out and seeing what happens. But anything that gives us a boost, anything that gives us the edge, and this kind of stuff, I think is going to give us credibility with our workshops, clients, whoever we teach. And obviously we want to test it out first and see how it works. But it's all good stuff really. Essentially that is all I wanted to share. As I've said earlier, how we use this, really, the purpose of this was to generate some discussion, so we can talk about it, and obviously Nigel's got some knowledge of it, Alan's got different knowledge of it. I don't know what knowledge the other guys have got, and hopefully we've all got ideas about how we can use it, whether that's for LinkedIn or other stuff or part of our delivery. Yes, team meeting 5th of May. I know some of you aren't there. What would be great if you're not at the meeting would be to send your comments in. I thought to Mary would probably be best. You can send them to me if you want, to then coordinate all that so your points get put forward in the meeting, and then whoever's at the meeting can obviously raise what they think of it. So hopefully this webinar will get seen before the meeting. That's what we talked about, didn't we, Alan? Doing it so people have got enough time to watch it and digest it and think about what they want to say about it.
Yeah, that's right. And Nigel's put another question stroke comment in the box to say if you use buffer, it shortens the link automatically. And so when I use Social Ump, when I create my posts, there's a button on there to automatically shorten the links. I think there are some advantages to using Bitly, and I can't remember what they are. I think it's all to do with analytics. And you have to think about that if you're using analytics to track things. But I think just getting the extra visibility is the key initial point.
Great. Do you want to say anything about Buffer, Nigel?
Let me take everybody else off mute.
Yeah, that's it. Anybody's got anything
questions? Oops. Right, should all be off mute now.
Some great stuff in there, Simon. Thank you. There was some great stuff in there, Simon. Thank you for that.
That's great. We seem to have lost Simon. Oh, I managed to. Simon's either muted himself or I've muted him. I've unmuted him now, Simon. Did I mute you or did you mute yourself?
Taken over the asylum.
I heard you then, Mary. Thanks. How are you okay for everybody to send their thoughts to you rather than me? Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's great. And in fact, if you and Alan can let me have the presentation and the webinar, then what I'll do is share it, because I think there's some really, really good stuff in here. And one of the things, I think I missed my window earlier on, but one of the things is we know people who've set up groups, and interestingly, for property investors on the team, people have set up the Worcestershire Landlords group and things like that, where what they're doing is effectively controlling their own group and environment and building a community, sharing tips, playing nice, all the things that you've talked about, and that's gone from strength to strength. And you're right, it feeds you leads if it's done right and if it's got the right leadership of a group. So some fantastic stuff. And the only other thing I added in the chat was to make your blogs go even further. I put something out in one of the messages the other week about missing letter, and it's spelled missing, L-E-T-T-R, so it's got the final E missing. And what it does is you can link you can link one blog per week. So you give it your blog URL address, and it will go in and say, oh, you've done a new blog this week, and it will create a 12-month campaign for picking out different bits of that blog and tweeting it out over the next 12 months free. So there are lots of ways to boost things and make them go further. And I think you've got some brilliant ones in here, Simon. Thank you.
Right. It might be worth creating maybe a little summary of the software options then, because obviously Nigel's mentioned Buffer, Alan's mentioned, I can't remember what it was called, Alan.
Social Ump.
Social Ump, yeah, and Mary mentioned this one as well. So it might be worth, obviously besides the Bitly one I've mentioned on here, so it might be quite good to kind of look into those and just maybe have a little summary of the pros and cons, and so we can point people to the most suitable one, or at least the options?
All the stuff around social oomph and boosting your, growing your Twitter community is all available on my blog video, which is about 15 minutes long, which you can all access through the blog. You have to sign up, but most of you have already signed up to me anyway. So that's available to everyone.
Alan, is that the one I keep nicking and using at expos?
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. I've told people to go and look at that. I've put it out in emails. If you haven't looked at Alan's 15-minute video and you're not connected with him, then you're crazy. That's it. It's simple as that.
Yeah. Well, I'm now up at 2,388 followers.
Hey.
It's not quite a year. It's not a year old yet.
Fantastic.
What about Ian? What do you think, mate?
Ian's shown as on, but not attentive.
Probably got a cigar on, hasn't he?
Oh, I've probably got
Probably
that
chasing
support.
the mouse again. Oh no, he's back. He's back with us, Mr. Preston. You're not on mute, unless you've muted yourself somehow.
Oh!
Ah,
There he is.
we thought you were out chasing a mouse or something, mate.
No, I'm here. What is here?
Anything you'd like
What
to
are
add
your thoughts? Yeah.
before we stop the recording?
Yeah. I've steered away from groups in so much as that I've told when I've done workshops, these now infamous workshops, I've said to people about groups, I've just said, look, be very careful, very careful where you're hunting. There's a big pond out there, just be careful you hunt in the right pond. So I haven't certainly told people and done it myself, gone and just search for loads and loads of people on groups. I think it's part of the strategy of being a thought leader, and that's what I coach people. You know, I say to be seen to be a thought leader. So when you put something up, you will be followed and read. When you send emails out, they'll be opened. So I think it's great. I think it's part of a wider strategy, but I think there's some good stuff in there.
I always advocate at my talks and workshops, when I mention groups, I say that they are a great place to potentially find people, but you have to look where your audience hangs out. So if you're an accountant, don't look for clients in accountancy groups. They're great for your professional networking in terms of understanding what's going on in your profession, but you ain't going to find new clients there. If you're an accountant that specialises in performing arts, go find some groups where there are performing artists. And a great tip I give to people as to how to find which groups to go look in is connect with your existing clients.
Yeah.
So your existing good clients, if they're on LinkedIn, they'll be members of groups. So look at their profiles and see what groups they're in. And then pick the relevant ones. You don't want to pick the model train spotters group or whatever, but pick the relevant industry type groups that they're in, because then other people like them will be in there as well. Then get them to introduce you into the group.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Yeah.
I've got a question. I've got a question about groups, because do you remember the Link Incubator, LinkedIn Summit that Liam Austin did? And I think it was back in December. Sally did a presentation to us about it. I listened to various of the webinars, but there were just so many I couldn't keep up with them all. Liam Austin did a great thing, and he brought together a lot of leaders when it comes to LinkedIn, and they shared a lot of their stories about how they were getting found. I put some notes into the team section of the Dropbox at the time, but one of the things that I recall was, top LinkedIn people like Vivica von Rosen and various others complaining because LinkedIn had made so many changes to the group that it was not as appealing as it used to be. Now, I'm kind of guessing from the conversations that we've had tonight and from what Simon shared with us very kindly and helpfully, is that's being a member of a group rather than being the owner and creator of a group. So it sounds to me, my question is really, you really need to create your own group. And as you said, Simon, yes, everybody on this call is a business owner. So do we need to be creating our own groups to build for now and for the future, rather than participating in groups? I mean, obviously it's not an either or, but just questions around that. People saying, "Oh, groups aren't as attractive as they were."
Yeah, Mary, I've seen a number of posts on LinkedIn around that sort of theme,
Yeah.
and there is an administrators, a group administrators sort of forum, which I think I managed to get into via the back door, where there were a number of group administrators complaining that groups are becoming less and less effective. So more groups are becoming dormant. The quality of the chat on there is diminishing, and it's more and more difficult to get engagement. I think it's down to how you manage your group. I think it's down to how you use the content, how you curate the content, to make sure that the value of the content is high. And there was an element within the group that I was looking at that were making these comments around people looking to try and find a collective to go off and create a separate community outside of LinkedIn. And there was almost like there was a hidden agenda here somewhere, which had slight undertones to it. Now, LinkedIn has made a lot of changes, and it has pissed some people off. There's no two ways about it. But I don't think many people are proactively using LinkedIn the way it should be using. I mean, I've seen a number of people have commented to me that they think that LinkedIn is becoming a lot more trashy in terms of a lot more spammy type posts. Well, to be honest, I'm not seeing that in my news feed, so I'm wondering if it's the people they're connected to and who they're accepting connection from.
Yeah, I thought friends of mine that said you're doing a dating site.
Well, yeah. I mean, there has been some stuff like that flying around, and I think if you keep it professional, then.
I'm looking at putting knives at the moment, and I can't understand that.
You haven't looked at his photo section, mate.
So just a quickie, I'm sorry, are you planning to put those slides that you used on SlideShare or somewhere where we can go and revisit them?
Yeah, I'll say to Mary, I'll send it to Mary and she can just bang it on the hub or Dropbox or where she thinks is best. As I say, this isn't something we can post out. I want to refer people to, but it's certainly something we could, fine tune and doctor and adapt to a giveawayable thing, if you like. We could do that. I mean, I'm happy to do that. We're happy for anybody to do that. I think at least it's a start for something anyway.
Well, Simon,
actually,
go on, carry on.
No, I was going to say I've sent Mary an email today. I don't know if you've seen it yet, Mary, but it sort of follows on a little bit from this. The next thing that Myrna talked about was the use of autopilot, which is software to generate leads. Now, I don't understand it enough to see how it really fits with this very well.
I've been invited to use it, and I've had several people say to me, "Oh, why don't you use autopilot?" And I must admit, I haven't investigated it a huge amount.
I haven't.
I can talk about that if you want.
Yeah, go on, Nigel.
It's £60 a month. That's the first thing. They don't do a free version anymore. There are better options out there. Things like Duck Soup and Frog Hopper have free versions that you can use. You need to be very careful because if you're not on the LinkedIn's premium profile, and when I say premium I mean the £30, £40 a month version, there's not much point in having it because it won't allow you to search through the profiles in the way it does. You are restricted to a certain number of searches and a certain number of profile views within the month, funny enough. Now the only way I've found around it is you go into the groups and then activate the duck soup or the frog hopper, and it will search the members within the groups. So it doesn't take into account your restrictions under the search function, because that's how it originally was made, is you go and do an advanced search for the people you want to almost communicate with, and duck soup autopilot then automatically visit those profiles for you.
Well, it helps. I got speaking to a guy out in Jamaica somewhere, and he was one of these guys that does what Andy does, or would like to do, and we would like to do, is sit on the beach somewhere and just a couple of hours work a day between pina coladas or something like that. And he was trying to promote, I won't say self-promote, a sort of autopilot come duck soup thing. And when he told me, went into the detail what it was, it's what we do anyway. It's about regularly viewing your profile, who's viewed your profile, and all that sort of stuff, and sending the right messages in the right way. And so when I told him what I was doing and what I coach people to do, to be fair to him, he turned around and said, "You don't need this." He said, "This is for people who don't do what you do."
Yeah. It's that was the message Andy got from LinkedIn directly when they were trying to flog copies of Sales Navigator, and they said, "Oh, you can do that. Oh, you're already doing it. No, you don't need to sign up for Sales Navigator because you're doing this."
What I'd said on that email, Mary, is, I mean, because the idea was this was a topic for tomorrow's call, really. As I say, I've got a very limited understanding of it, and I was wondering if it's something we need to be aware of, whether it's I won't call it a threat, but in a competition sense to us. When prospects, clients, people that we're networking with suggest this stuff, which someone did to me the other day, it'd be good to have an understanding of what our stance is on it, really. So I think it'd be good to have a chat about that on tomorrow's call if there's time.
My stance around all of this sort of thing is you need to have a strategy for what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
If you have a strategy and you know what your end objective is, and you therefore know what you need to put in one end of your filter or your funnel to get what you want out at the other end, then these tools may have a part to play. But if you just simply go on and start using something like autopilot or the other ones, what you end up with is a load of potential interactions or lead generation amounts of lead generation activity that may not be as targeted and tailored as you really want it to be, and are going to be bugger all use to you if you don't follow up and interact with them one-to-one. Because interaction, you could stimulate initial interaction automatically, but you can't carry on the conversation. Yeah, it's not like what was the Spielberg UFO film? Can't remember what it's called now. Close Encounters. Yeah, where the computer takes over the conversation and starts talking to the aliens. We ain't got one of those. Yeah, we have to talk alien to alien, i.e. human to human, and that's how we end up getting real business and real leads. So you need to be wary of what you do and this is how I position it with the clients all the time. Most of them don't have the time to actually really use those tools effectively.
Yeah, so that would be good to just gain a bit of understanding to say, well, yeah, this is why we don't use it. This is when it would become relevant to you. I just think from an understanding point of view, maybe it's something I need to go and do myself, but I just wanted to throw it out there to see what everybody else knew about it and if it was something we should chat about on a call.
Well, I think it's good to share different things, what we're finding, what we're learning, where, there might be a couple of us that go off and investigate certain things, and other people will have investigated other things, and as proved helpful tonight, sharing that information as a team is great. And we're particularly good, I think, as a team at sharing, whether it's at monthly meetings, coaching calls, weekly sessions, or extra things like this. I think we are good at sharing, and long may it continue. I know that the concern that Andy and I have really gets back to what Alan was saying. There are lots of lovely shiny pennies, and there are lots of really attractive things, and there are some blooming good salespeople out there. But actually, when you start to dig a bit deeper, if you do the fundamental things that we talked about from the beginning, then you'll know when it's time to automate a certain part of it. But ultimately, there's a phrase that we have, which is systemize the routine, humanize the exceptions. So, as Christina has found, sometimes you can automate certain things or get somebody else to do them, but actually when you do it yourself, you're starting to build that relationship, which is right back to what Simon said at the beginning. It's about building, the meet, know, like, trust, building all that stuff, building your credibility and your positioning as a leader. And I think once you start putting automation in, you can lose some of that. Unless you're really, really busy and you've got that many leads flying in left, right and centre, then, that's a different scenario. But I think there are lots of shiny pennies out there that we do have to be wary of.
Well, that's why whenever I talk about Twitter, Mary, I always say, well, look, I do this level of automation, and this is the objective of the automation.
Yes.
But everything that automation generates in terms of direct messages or responses to blog posts or gets followed up on a one-to-one basis.
Yeah.
And so it's about using the automation to stimulate some interest. But it's like using ground bait when you're fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You pepper the area you're fishing in with ground bait, and then you put your reel hook out there. And when somebody nibbles at the reel hook, you play it.
And it's back to thinking about digital marketing.
Oh, you've gone all Dalek on us there, Mary.
I think me and Ian were both talking at the same time. All I said is it comes back to thinking about who's your target market and where are you going to find them in the highest concentration.
Yep.
Ian, over to you. What did you say?
I just said if you can start talking about fishing, I'm off.
Turn it into a golfing analogy, quick.
That's a killer conversation. Quick, start talking about fishing. Yeah, right, okay.
Like whacking it on the driving range, mate. Is keep smashing them into an empty field, don't you?
Absolutely.
It kind of highlights.
The golfing analogy is drive for dough, putt for drive for show, putt for dough. Ian.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
This highlights probably one of the USPs we've got is that we're coaching based rather than just pure trainers. So hopefully that's that cuts out the automation thing. So
I agree, and I also think another USP of ours is the team stuff, because there are lots of one-man band LinkedIn coaches and trainers that have not got the power of the team that we've got, and the fact that we're all learning from each other all the time. I love that whole calendar thing. I had no idea that was there. I know Twitter do one, but I had no idea that LinkedIn had an editorial calendar. So there's some great stuff coming out of this, and I'm sure we'll be doing more of them in future. But thank you, Simon, for doing it tonight, and thank you, Alan, for organising all the logistics.
And
Can you give me that woman's name again?
Mary, just a quickie, where are you going to put this so we can revisit it?
I will put it. I put things in the hub.
No.
Sorry.
You said put it somewhere and decide and tell us where it is and then let us know.
Why don't you put a link to it, a link into the hub, where it is in the hub on the weekly engagement email, Mary?
That's a plan. That's a plan, because that would be a great idea. And I tend to put things in the hub that are more permanent. So because we will have a webinar and a slideshow, I'll put it in the hub.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Simon. I'm going to knock on it now. It's okay.
Simon, can you go back to the slide with that woman's name on it? I can't find.
Myrna, it's at the notes at the bottom somewhere.
Purple.
Myrna Burkham. There you are, bottom right. Can you see that?
Myrna Bacon.
Yeah.
I can't find her on LinkedIn. That's all.
I have. I've already sent her a connection request.
Unless I've spelled it wrong, but I
No,
think that's
it's
But she likes
Oh, okay.
fishing, Ian.
If you can't find her, let me know and I'll
It's
check out.
BACUN with a funny...
I thought I'd dip in first.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Okay, guys,
I'll
I'm going
send
to
it to
stop the
Mary.
recording there and
Thanks for that.
start
Charlie, you
the...
stopped recording already.
No.
Oh, you fibber. You said you would stop recording about 10 minutes ago so we could just chat.
No. I said I was opening up the call so that we could just chat, not stop recording. Don't worry.
Actually,
Copy
I heard
for the
you
last
say you were
10
going to
minutes will
stop
be available
recording.
for blackmail.